Greetings, this is Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I have drifted into the Underworld. The Star Wars Underworld. I have a bad feeling about this.
Here we go. We must go to the lower levels. The Underworld.
You've taken your first step into a larger world.
You're after something.
Ben.
Since I've started the Underworld, I've met so many great friends.
Chris.
I grew up in the 1990s, and mall packaging is nostalgic for me.
Dominic.
What I love most about Star Wars is that it's fun, and it's all-around good times.
So, this is where the fun begins.
May the Force be with us.
This thing really moves!
Whoa! I like this!
I can't believe you came all this way to see me.
What's up, Star Wars fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Star Wars Underworld podcast. We are your source for the latest breaking Star Wars news and discussion each and every week. And this week on the show, we're talking about that epic new trailer for the Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga that just dropped. We're also going to be talking about that new episode of Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian. And later in the show, stick around, we're going to be going to dive into a plethora of Star Wars what-if scenarios put forth by all of you, our viewers. All that and much more in this episode of the Star Wars Underworld podcast. My name is #TopHatWatch, and joining me is my good friend, Mr. Dominic Jones.
Hello, Chris. Hello, Ben. Hello, everybody. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I have something to say to the two of you in just a little bit. But to start the show, I would just want to say again how glad I am to be on video because I can actually show you something instead of trying to describe it. Because as some of you might have known, my birthday was last week. I appreciated all the messages. All that was wonderful. But I got what I think is the best T-shirt of 2021. For my birthday, and I want to actually show you it so you can see all the other T-shirts have to compete with, and really why they should just give up and go home. So if I can just finish unbuttoning this other shirt. Oh, look at that! I'm
all right.
You can see it. All right, I'm gonna move out of the way.
Oh my God! OMG!
There we go. So for any, ow, I just rolled over my toe. For anybody listening on for anybody listening on the audio feeds, it is a shirt. It sort of looks like the Bad Batch logo, except instead of saying the Bad Batch, it says Omega, but it's OMEEGA in different, all in different rows. So yeah, there it is.
Brilliant. Awesome.
Omega. So that's the best T-shirt of 2021. Everybody else can give up and go home because you're not going to make a better one. So yeah, but I'm looking forward to talking Lego Star Wars. I'm looking forward to talking Disney Gallery. Looking forward to getting into everything. I might need to leave the show early and go have my foot looked at after I ran it over while standing up there.
You need a 21B medical droid over there. Pronto.
Wait a minute. It's going to be a great show.
I guess, and also joining us, it's Ben Hart, the Star Wars guy.
How's it going, everybody? And I figured I need to start the show with an apology, a very heartfelt apology. Something happened last week that you guys, I think you all saw. I did not foresee it, and I am deeply sorry. You saw something you should have never seen, and I am deeply appalled and ashamed that this happened. I came on this show last week and I was topless. And I am so ashamed of this. You saw the top of my head. And it is so shameful. And also, to add insult to injury, I was supposed to buy a top hat.
Yeah.
And I did not, unfortunately.
So I got something to say to both of you. Because this is the second week now where we've come on the show after having told our audience to tell us something to wear. And Chris has not worn purple, and you have not worn a top hat. The lights don't count, Chris. I know
yes, I do.
Just getting ready to make.
I will have a purple shirt though when I find it.
Yeah, sure.
It will happen.
To in response to this, I really, as the voice of the people on this show, I really got to say it's disappointing because it's not that difficult because, this week on my Instagram, I put up a poll asking, should I buy this Baby Yoda pencil case set that I found? And I put up the poll, and the people spoke. And they spoke loud and clear that I absolutely should. So here it is. You can see
also voted. I was one of those people.
The green screen is kind of messing with it, but I've got it. I've got this Baby Yoda pencil case set, and I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'm not in second grade, so I don't really need one of these. But because the people asked, I did it. So as the voice of the people, I have to say I'm very disappointed in the two of you. You got to get your top hat, get your purple shirt. And,
so to try to rectify the situation, obviously I can't just make a top hat out of thin air. It'll take at least a week to get here if I order it.
Order it.
Yeah, I'm going to. But in the meantime, I figure, I need to get some opinions. We need to rectify the situation right now, right here. And so I figured I'll get some opinions right now, and I'll present to you a few options. You guys can vote on it in the
we did this last week. You have to buy the blue one.
No. You don't understand. So just for a second. Look, I am exposed here. All right. Don't you understand that people want this covered, and I have to do something? So 1 second.
I hope nobody clicked this link thinking we would actually reacting to the Lego trailer, because that's not happening for another 10 minutes.
No. Okay, so this is option A.
Stuff to do.
This is option A. It's a nice Lucasfilm hat, and you would look at me and go like, "Oh, this guy, he's got connections. He knows people at Lucasfilm. He's been to the exclusive Lucasfilm shop or whatever it is inside Lucasfilm in San Francisco." The truth is, I got this on clearance at the Disney store, so no big deal.
I was about to say, when you put that on, I'm like, that has to have come from San Francisco.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. No. You can get.
Where else do you get that?
It was clearance until all the Disney stores closed. Rest in peace. And then we got this thing. Okay. BB-8 beanie.
Just because it made you so miserable to put it on, I want that one. I choose that one.
Okay, it's like 95 degrees here, so this is not going to work. But admire it while it's on my head, because it won't be for very much longer. So this is option B.
It looks like it's like 2 sizes too small, Ben. Like your ears are sticking out like elf ears.
Oh, you have no idea, sir. You have no idea. Option C is this tiny Atlanta Braves helmet, baseball helmet. Clearly it doesn't fit me anymore, unfortunately. It's very, very small.
Did that used to have ice cream in it? Because that
probably
looks like, yeah.
I don't know where this thing came from, all right? I was desperate today.
Most stadiums sell like what you're holding up there, one of those plastic baseball helmets, like the mini ones, but it comes with like ice cream or French fries or something in it.
Yeah, like or Dippin' Dots or whatever.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, final option.
Opening something.
Okay.
Oh.
And it's not the most practical option, I know, but it's quite comfortable. I don't know. Just let me know in the comments. Okay.
No. You can't see. You have to wear that. You have to wear that brown paper bag over your head for the entirety of the show, covering your eyes because you're so ashamed by the fact that you did not wear a top hat.
I think I'll just go with option A right now. You guys can let me know what else happens. So I'm not exposed anymore. Right? You guys can chill out now. It's covered.
It's not, but then still not a top hat. As the voice of the people, I must point out.
I know.
Not a top hat.
Apparently, there's a rule on YouTube now. You can't, because everyone wears a hat now.
Yeah.
So
that's it.
There we go. All right.
I will be changing hats during tonight's show. So keep your eyes open.
All right. Please change into a green hat.
This is a Star Wars podcast. I just do want to reiterate this for people. This is a Star Wars podcast. We will be talking about Star Wars news very, very soon.
I mean, maybe not. How many Star Wars items are in the frame right now?
A lot, but
kind of obvious.
Anybody that's just tuning in, they're like, aren't they going to talk about Star Wars? All they're talking about is hats.
All right. So we will talk about Star Wars real quick. Obligatory plugs. We are steamrolling on our way to 1,000 subscribers. So if you have subscribed recently, we want to thank you. And please subscribe if you're just discovering us and haven't, or if you're listening over on any of the podcast apps, even if you don't have the ability to watch the show. I know a lot of people like listening while driving, so it's not recommended to watch the show while driving.
Not the best idea.
Don't watch the show while driving. That's why it's on Spotify.
Or biking or skateboarding or anything that involves
anything that you need to use your eyes to not die would be important or hurt anybody else. But if you are listening on a podcast app, please subscribe anyway, because it helps us out. And then by the off chance, if you're not working, you might be able to check something out, or if you're not driving or not doing anything,
you can come and see all of these visual gags that we're doing and be like, oh, so that's what they were talking about.
What's that rustling?
and I do promise, and this is definitely a better promise than the purple shirt or top hat promise, that there will be a compilation of all of the Top Hat saga. I'm working on it from week to week as we add more things. There's going to be a documentary about this that I'm working on, and it's going to go on.
When
YouTube.
will the finale be? Who knows?
I don't know. It might be 2 years from now, but I'm working on it. So
can we call it Star Wars Underworld Gallery when we release it?
Yes, that's definitely the title. It's definitely the title.
Brilliant.
Star Wars Underworld Gallery # Top Hat Watch.
Yep.
That's the name of it. So definitely subscribe to our youtube.com/Star Wars Underworld. Search for the Star Wars Underworld YouTube on YouTube. We're the only thing that comes up other than one video with that test footage from that one show that never happened. That should happen. Watch that too, to let Disney know that needs to happen. Maybe if it gets 1 billion views, they'll actually make it. So those are your chores for YouTube this week. Also want to remind everybody that we are live with the power of the Culture Slate Podcast Network. So we want to give a shout out to all the other shows on our network. We got 3 other fantastic shows. We've got Star Wars Culture, which broadcasts an hour earlier than us at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, a day before us on Wednesday. We also got The Rollout, which is a fantastic show spanning all of geek pop culture, a lot of video game talk as well over there. And you can find them at 12 p.m. Pacific over on the Rollouts YouTube channel on Fridays. And then finally, we've got Chatter Squadron, which is our friends, Star Wars podcast, Tyler and Logan. We've done crossovers. That's right. Loden. And we've done crossovers with them before. They're going live now at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern every Saturday. So definitely check that out. All those shows are on YouTube, same quality as our show. So if you like our show, definitely give their shows a watch as well.
A little less.
Slightly less. Yeah. Once we got the top hats, we'll be way above them.
It'll be a classier program that we do.
That's what we're missing. And then also, please support us on Patreon, patreon.com/theswu. We need to compile a list of shout outs of all the new people that have joined at some point. I don't think we have that available now, but maybe in a future week, because we've had so many of you join in the past few weeks. It's been so awesome. We want to thank everybody for that. Patreon.com/theswu. That's where you can get our weekly video pre-shows. This week, there's a lot of eclectic stuff, including to us reacting real time to the new Spider-Man trailer, which is pretty fun. And a lot of conversation about what could be happening with that movie that's coming up. So that's patreon.com/theswu. You can find our merch on TeePublic, tpublic.com/user/the Star Wars Underworld. And you can send us feedback at swunderworld@gmail.com. And please remember to review if you are listening on a podcast app that lets you leave a review. Ben, what is going on with IPC either this week or next week or last week or at any point?
We got a new episode out right now. You can find it on StarWarsUnderworld.com. We talked about season 1 of the Bad Batch, did a whole kinds of stuff, discussed what's going on with all the cloning stuff and where it's going and how it may connect with all this. And also we talked about Taco Bell for some reason. So yeah, it all
definitely
comes
listen to that one. I only listen to podcasts that talk about Taco Bell. So you got me.
I knew that would catch you.
I love this graphic that we had on the screen here that just said Ben : IPC.
Nope, that's my cue.
That's pretty much what our show notes say, so it's not surprising.
I don't think we need
and pasted.
I don't think we need that one. I think we're good. I think we're good. Or maybe we could put up one that says like the intergalactic, like actually spells out the name or something. Anyways,
no, it's too much of a mouthful. Nobody's gonna say or type that.
Yeah. All right. Let's actually talk some Star Wars, and let's do what we promised we would do. And let's watch ourselves, not watch ourselves, watch. I mean, that's kind of what we're doing.
That's what we do the entire time. We're just watching ourselves on the video.
Let's watch this long-awaited, much-anticipated trailer for Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga.
Promise me you will train the boy.
Yes, Master.
I was once a Jedi Knight, the same as your father.
How did my father die?
Ready are you? What know you of ready?
The rebellion is reborn today. The war is just beginning, and I will not be the last Jedi. Reach out.
The boy has no patience. He is not ready.
I am ready. Ben, I could be a Jedi. Ben, tell him I'm ready.
There it is. There it is. What we've been waiting for. As always, it feels like Lego does a better job representing the entire Star Wars saga in their trailers than most things that actually use the footage from the movies.
Yeah.
Interesting. But yeah, let's go around the table, get some reaction. Ben, we'll throw it to you first. What did you think of the new Lego Star Wars trailer?
It looks amazing. Like I mean, I think I can speak for everyone here. Like we've grown up. I have grown up with these Lego games from literally, I can't remember my life without them. And, going back to the prequel trilogy, the original trilogy, like they've upped the ante. And like this, it looks, I can't believe I'm talking about graphics in a Lego game. Like we're talking about something that's not like supposed to be photoreal, but like they look like real Legos to me. So like it's really amazing. And I'm especially interested in like the lightsaber comment. Like, remember you used to, you're Luke and you're fighting Vader. Your lightsaber just passes through him. And just now this is like, oh, there's like saber locks, stuff like that. And then like there's like this free roam space combat and obviously all 9 movies, which is fantastic. I'm just looking forward to seeing like what they do. And it's gonna be fully voice acted, which like I still prefer the grunts and groans. I am 100% in that camp of like, I love that, but I can live with this. I think the voice acting obviously is great. And then kind of recreating scenes and then having the added dialogue of being able to recreate these scenes and doing it in a funny way. So it looks amazing. And the only disappointing thing about it is, spring 2022, still a ways off still. And will we ever get this game? Because it keeps getting delayed, but at least we got a trailer at least.
It'll come out in time to tie in with episode 10, I think is when we'll
yeah. It'll be here by then.
It'll be here by then. Chris, what do you think?
As the video watchers can see, I've changed my name again. Now my name is Everything is Awesome. And I also did this illegally in the last 2 minutes. So you could write your checks to Everything is Awesome if you're going to donate money. This is fantastic. I agree that the only thing that sucks about this game is that they keep pushing the release date back. And I feel like, when was this supposed to come out? 2010 at this point? Like, when was this supposed to come out? Like, we've been hearing about this for years. For years, we've been hearing about this. And once again, we have to wait another 6 months, ostensibly. But that aside, I really do think that this is going to be worth the wait. At this point, I think everybody's heard, years of hype for this game and all the information about how it's going to be very like open world and kind of in a sense like a sandbox game. There's going to be all these side missions that you can do, and all these updates are going to happen to it. Like there's all this stuff that's going to make this game that's just going to blow away any other Lego Star Wars game. And that's just about the gameplay mechanics. That has nothing to do with the graphics being next generation and the Unreal Engine and everything just looking so much visually better than any other Lego Star Wars game. So this trailer, kind of just reminds us about how cool it's going to look. And I like the combination of the old dialogue and the new dialogue, because while we got the fully voice acted scenes, we still have some of the kind of like expressions are like the classic expressions from Lego. So the sound that Force Ghost Obi-Wan Kenobi makes is more of an OG Lego sound at the end of that trailer, which I thought was a nice touch for the longtime fans of the game, going back to when all of the dialogue was like that. I still can't wait to play this game. I still think it's going to be totally worth it, and it's going to be fantastic. And I just don't know whether or not to believe them when they say it's coming out next year.
Yeah, because we all believed them that it was coming out at the end of this year, or at the end of last year, and then at the beginning of this year. And you could see in all of the Lego sets that were released around that time, there was supposed to be tie-in stuff. Like there were codes and things that would add to your experience. But I'm obviously I'm with you guys. I think the trailer looks terrific. I'm very much looking forward to this game. But it is a little bit dampened by the fact that it's taken so long, and I'm curious to know why that is, because I look at this trailer and go, yeah, that's great, but is that what we were waiting for? Like, is that it? Like, is that all there is? Because that's, it's fun. I like it. There were some good jokes. There were some fun moments. There were some moments that were like complete recreations of just stuff from the films. And like I said, it does a better job at, capturing the spirit of the entire saga than most official things, like most live action things. So, I think it's good. I'm looking forward to this game, and I'm looking forward to seeing actually what's in it. I was wondering, as Dr. Holocron is suggesting in the comments here, could they add some Clone Wars content? Could they add some Mandalorian content? More likely, Bad Batch content, anything like that.
That'd be great.
And I thought like maybe we'll get a glimpse of that in the trailer, and as sort of as a tease of like, this is why we're delaying it. But instead it looked like a trailer that could have come out this time 2019, or this time 2020, instead of, going through the whole rigmarole of, delaying it and not really being clear about the delays. And even now giving a pretty vague, release window, spring 2022. Well, that could mean anything, literally anytime in March till anytime in June, I think.
Yeah, it is like there's not a whole lot to chew on in this trailer in regards to like, funny bits or something like that. It's mostly just kind of showing off like what the game looks like, which We got a little bit of that previously, and I'm not complaining, but like, and at the same time, like, yes, I'm disappointed. Like, we're gonna have to wait a bit more for this, game to come out. I am glad that they're not rushing it. I am glad they're not gonna pull a Cyberpunk 2077 and just like, oh, we gotta drop this right now, even though it's not finished.
Or a Battlefront 1.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is clearly like, this is a cash grab. Like, nah, they're sitting on this until they think it's perfect, and gotta respect them for that.
Yeah, it's true. So hopefully it'll be worth the wait. Chris, you actually played like a demo of this.
No, well, I didn't. Did I? I'm trying to remember now. Did I play a demo or did I watch someone play a demo? It's been like 3 years. I can't even.
That's how long. That's how long it's been. This game.
It was like as the pandemic was starting, it had been a while.
Yeah.
So now I have no idea how long ago this was. Yeah, but I think I watched someone play a demo of this back in like E3 2019 or maybe even 18 at this point. Yeah, no, it just looked really great. They played the Tatooine level, and they were kind of showing how like you land on Tatooine and there's just all these different things you can do. Like you have like a little side mission where you need to go find something, or you can go over to Jabba's palace, or there's just all these different things that you can do. So you're not kind of like, the game doesn't force you into like a story where you have to like play through a level in the sense that other Lego Star Wars games have done. It's more just like you show up somewhere and then you just decide what you're gonna do, and I think that's what makes the game so cool. So I think I'm assuming that you can play through the whole saga as the main characters if you want, but there's just so many other ways to approach the gameplay as well, and that's what interests me, because I've played through the saga before. I've done the original Lego Star Wars games, so it will be cool to do the sequel stuff, because I haven't played all of those games. I don't even know if there is a game for Episode 9.
Yeah, there's just one for Episode 7. There's not even one for 8.
Yeah, not even Last Jedi.
Yeah, so that part would be cool, but for all the other stuff, the open world aspects of it, and like all the side quests and stuff, that's what interests me, and just the exploration interests me, because that's kind of what I would do with the other games, is that I would just try to unlock everything so I could just explore everything, because that's more of my gameplay style. So it looks fantastic. However many years ago that was.
Yeah, and I'm gonna echo what a lot of people in the comments are saying right now. Is like, is this going to be a game, like, because it's been a while since we've got a Lego Star Wars game. Like, this is the first one in quite a bit of time, and even it's taking a long time to come out. So it was a long time since the last game when this was supposed to come out. Now it's really long time, but like, they were kind of steadily making some. We got right around the Revenge of the Sith era, I think we got the first video game, which was 1, 2, 3. Then we got 4, 5, 6. And since then, we've gotten precedingly like the complete saga. We got the Clone Wars, which is great. I'm curious now of like, is this going to be a game that like they're going to like, okay, this is it, and then we're going to add on to this with like more things. We're going to get a Mandalorian expansion back. We're going to get a Rogue One expansion. We're going to get a Solo expansion. Like, that would be cool, some add-ons. Or could we, if this game does really good, could we see like Lego the Mandalorian? I think they could easily make a game. They made a game out of Clone Wars pretty easily. So like, I would love it if like, is this going to be like a continuation, or we just getting this game and this is it, and we're going to add on to this? Either way, I want to be able to play as Lego Grogu. All right, just that's.
I have a question for Lego, if that is what they are considering, if they're thinking about that. And my question is, do you like money?
Yeah,
because this will bring in more money. And a Mandalorian expansion, a Clone Wars expansion, Rogue One, like you said, Rogue Squadron when that comes out, Andor, Kenobi, all of these things are going to be coming out, and there's a chance.
Even Bad Batch would be a hell of a game.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wouldn't you want to play as Omega? Wouldn't you want to play as her? Come on,
there you go.
Come on.
So. Yeah, I hope that it's expansions and not a new game, because again, you see how long it takes for a new game to come out. So I think the best way to do this is to do like DLC, downloadable expansions.
I think it's less fun if it's like, okay, you do the complete saga, the Episode 9, 9 episodes, and then you do like a separate Mandalorian game. Like, yeah, that's fun, but like the real fun of Legos is like you just get to mash everything together. I want to play through the entirety of the Phantom Menace playing Din Djarin and Grogu. Like that's what I want to do.
Yes,
like, so many different possibilities when you mash them all together.
Yeah, Lego needs to, if they're considering, if this is what they're considering, they should go watch their own movie again, and remember that when you crazy glue things together and you say this is the only way to do things, that's not fun. The fun is taking the pieces, putting them together, putting characters in different situations, and saying, what happened? What would happen if Din Djarin and Grogu fought Darth Maul? Let's find out. Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga, expansion pack 2 coming 2029, because the game will come out till 2027.
Oh man.
Celebrate the 50th anniversary of Star Wars.
Don't give him any ideas.
Yeah, really. So any favorite moments from the trailer? Any sort of jokes that stood out to you as the ones that you think they should do more of that?
Oh yeah, they were all good. I mean, the Chewbacca just showing up there with Risk, I think that was a really funny moment.
Whoever came up with that one definitely has a dog, because
Yeah.
that is a classic dog move.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's kind of how going back to kind of this idea that Chewbacca is kind of like based on George Lucas's dog. Like, they're going back to that source material there for the humor, and then of course the one at the end with the lightsaber going into the ground. That's funny too. Those are my
I
favorite ones.
especially love that bit, because like the whole thing with like the lightsaber, the Lego lightsabers, everyone's like, oh, it's supposed to go upright, and when you see him holding it down, like, oh, that's wrong. But like when I was playing with Legos, like I would differentiate the characters. Like, this guy's got a different color lightsaber, he's holding it upside down, the blade comes out the bottom. So like at first I was like, are they just doing that so they can have like a different type of lightsaber, or is it just like, is it upside down? Yeah, it's upside down, everybody has the same lightsaber.
There we go. I like it. For me, my favorite was either the Chewbacca moment or Qui-Gon smacking Obi-Wan in the face repeatedly.
That was good too.
Yeah, that's great.
Good stuff. All right, so that's it. That's the Lego Star Wars trailer, and hopefully early 2022 or spring 2022 will actually come true, and we can all play the game, talk about it, and have fun together. All right, let's keep going. Let's talk now about the new episode of Disney Gallery, The Mandalorian, titled "Making of Season 2 Finale," because they really just go for it with names on Disney Plus. They just say
so creative.
They're like, Disney has been known for decades for their creativity, what they do with TV shows and that sort of thing, and then Disney Plus goes, just call it what it's about, and we'll go with that. But let's talk about it. Let's go around the table again, give some initial impressions. And Chris, let's go to you first this time. What'd you think of the making of the season 2 finale?
That was fascinating. I was slightly confused though about how they were making the Luke stuff, because it's like they started out with like, we're using deepfake technology, which of course we know that they ended up deepfaking it and hiring the guy who deepfaked it on the internet. So I'm like, okay, wait, so they did it the same way, but his looked better even though they had more money? That's weird. But then after that, they're like, but there's these other ways of doing things, and we can de-age too. And then they start talking about de-aging, and I'm like, wait, so did they deepfake it, or did they de-age it, or did they de-age the deepfake, or did they deepfake the de-age, or like, what's going on there? So like that part kind of confused me, because I wanted an explanation of how they made what they made, and it was a little bit confusing there, but it does look like there was a lot that went into it. So I thought that was kind of an interesting moment there. It was cool seeing all of the technology, and then it was fun hearing about the lengths that they went to hiding the reveal from the public and not having it leak with the whole Plo Koon thing and all this fake concept art and fake dailies, and I just. Oh, that was really great too. So those are kind of some of the moments that I took away from it that I thought were the most interesting. And I don't know. I just think that Plo Koon like I'm surprised that people believed that if they did, because it's like he's dead. Like we saw him blow up. Like, you know,
we saw Darth Maul get his legs cut in half, and Filoni.
So they're like, "Oh, this is the next." They're just bringing back another prequel.
If I had seen Plo Koon's head photoshopped onto Mark Hamill's body, I would have known something was up.
No, but if you saw that concept art, right? Like not the Photoshop, not the, which was incredible. I love that image of the Plo Koon head on the Luke Skywalker body. It's terrific. But if you saw that concept art, would you not just go, "Oh yeah, that's Filoni being Filoni"? All right, I guess Plo Koon survived.
I love how Filoni was genuinely like, "We're gonna use this against them. They know that I love this character, so of course, like if this leaked, if we didn't know anything, there's like, oh yeah, we got this exclusive piece of concept art from the season 2 of The Mandalorian. It's from the finale, and
there's the Photoshop,
and it's Plo Koon. We'd be like, that looks kind of like Luke. The like he's got his hand looks weird, but it's Plo Koon, and this makes sense because he loves Plo Koon."
Yeah, honestly, Chad, can you bring that picture back? The one of the Plo Koon? Yeah. If I saw this, I didn't know anything, I would think, oh, this is like a test. They're figuring out how to do the effect, and they just got somebody on set. They didn't bother doing the makeup on the hands because they're just trying to figure it out. And that's what I would have assumed, genuinely. Like, it's easy to look back on it now and be like, yeah, obviously, because you look at that picture now, it's like, obviously, that is clearly just a Plo Koon head photoshopped onto Mark Hamill's body, or Mark Hamill's body double. And then, but if I'd seen it at the time, honestly, I would have bought it. Because it's like, oh, they brought back all these other prequel era characters, so sure, why not? They'll find a reason, they'll find some explanation for why he survived, and he'll be there.
I wonder if there was any crew from The Mandalorian that were like really excited that Plo Koon was going to be in the show. They were like, "Oh, I'm working on this really cool episode. Plo Koon's gonna rescue Grogu. Like, it's the best episode ever. I can't wait for everybody to see this." And then they go and watch, and they're like, "Wait, that's not Plo Koon. What?" More disappointed than David Press when he didn't hear his voice in the Star Wars. That's not my voice.
Hey,
I worked hard on that Photoshop of Plo Koon's head.
The Plo Koon stands are still weeping, unfortunately. I feel bad for him, including Filoni, because I think Filoni, if he had his way, this would have been the thing. Like, oh yeah, Plo Koon shows up. Yeah, he survived. He's back. He's here to save the day.
But here's the thing: they can never do this again. Right? Because now, if this happens, if it gets out that, oh, Plo Koon's gonna be in it, or even, oh, Kit Fisto is coming back, everybody's gonna go, oh, they're covering up something else. This is covering for the fact
now when Plo Koon inevitably does return, and we do have that at the end of season 3, Plo Koon, they can reverse our psychology and just say, oh, it's Plo Koon back, and they're like, oh, Luke's coming back. We got you now, Filoni.
Why is that Mark Hamill's head on Plo Koon's body? What's going on?
Like Mark Hamill's like head's really big to cover up Plo Koon.
It's enlarged.
Yeah. That was a lot of fun to see, though. Like, that stuff genuinely was some of my favorite part of the episode, was just seeing all the fake.
And they really didn't have to like get into that. I love that like, we know Lucasfilm is all about security. We know they go to extreme, insane lengths to keep things secret. And in this case, and they even admit, like, yeah, everything else leaked. Everyone knew about Ahsoka. Everyone knew about Boba Fett. But this did not leak, so it worked.
I love that Favreau went on there and was just like, yeah, it leaked. Yeah, that's it. JJ would never, and nor should he necessarily. I'm not saying he should, but you have John in there. He's like, yeah, it happened. That's it. But I think Favreau realized, as we all did when we saw this episode, like, okay, yeah, the other stuff is big, but nothing quite reaches Luke Skywalker. Like, there's, Ahsoka, Boba, Cobb Vanth, all those characters, Bo-Katan, like, they got little moments in the other making of season 2 special. Luke gets his own freaking episode. So that's just, obviously, if you're going to protect one secret, it's that one.
Well, and it's amazing how, like, for years now, we have speculated. When we get these wild rumors, we get these things, we hear these rumor reports about, oh, so-and-so said this. We're like, is this a ruse? Is this Lucasfilm playing with us? Would they do something like this? Would they put out fake concept art, fake names, stuff like that? And I mean, we've known they've had like code names for stuff, I think, but like this was a legit like switcheroo of we're telling everyone, and everyone said it's talking about Plo Koon, but it's actually Luke Skywalker. And even Plo Koon didn't leak, which is amazing.
I wonder if there's, some people who are big in the scoops world who are watching that going, I had this. I just thought it had to be fake. I thought for sure it was a mistake.
Right.
See, that's how you know. You have make it look like you're doing something absurd, and then people will think that it's fake. Like, what? You're telling me that Plo Koon's going to be the Mandalorian? No, you're not a real source. You're making this up.
It's like the old, Blue Harvest horror beyond imagination. This is boring. Some boring horror movie. Oh, by the way, it's the third Star Wars movie.
Yeah. What a twist! What a reveal! I mean, that's a better twist than most horror movies have, right there. Yeah, it's incredible. It is. I'm still incredibly impressed that did not leak. Like between Baby Yoda and Luke Skywalker, the fact that they were able to keep that stuff as locked down as they did, considering all the other things that leaked.
Yeah,
I got to give it to them. That's pretty impressive.
It looks like they pick one thing a season. Like this is the thing that's not going to leak. It was Grogu last season, Luke Skywalker this season. Next season it's going to be Kit Fisto
or Agent Kolar. Agent Kolar, bring him back. Yeah. Now I almost feel like season 3 though, there can't be a moment because nothing's going to top those two.
Like, but one top the other.
Yeah, but where do you go from there? Where do you go from Luke?
Leia.
Yeah, that would be cool. And Leia would be cool. Han would be cool. Mando, like all these characters would be cool. But it would, to me, I think it would feel like, oh, they're trying to do it again. Whereas there was something natural about the way they introduced Grogu and the way they introduced Luke. It felt like this is how we're doing this. With season 3, the one that there it is, as Joel says in the chat, the one that I think will come closest could be Grand Admiral Thrawn. But seeing as we know that's coming because Ahsoka said it in the episode, it feels like that's not going to be as big a moment. And I see in the chat Doc Holocron saying Ezra again. That would be big, but we already know it's Mina Masood. We like these like if it's not Thrawn, if it's not Ezra, who could it be? What could it be?
Mara Jade.
maybe, but like that honestly, that could be the one. If there is something, maybe it's that. But otherwise,
it's one that could be so obvious. I think that's the thing with, I don't know how you can replicate or top what they did with Luke, because it was the most painfully obvious choice that everyone said. We all went through in our minds and didn't even talk about it really. I don't remember actually discussing Luke that much. I just remember thinking, yeah, Luke maybe, but no way. There's no way that's going to happen, next. But they go back to it in this documentary. They're like saying, hey, look, Luke is the most option. I love Filoni talking about how, like, he said, if you're going to trust someone, if you're going to be okay with Grogu leaving, Luke is going to be the person you're going to be most okay with taking him. And I agree with that. I agree with that sentiment. I think, I personally would have been okay with Ahsoka taking him, but like, Ahsoka is a new character to a lot of people still, especially a lot of people watching this show. So like Luke is that one character, arguably the most iconic Star Wars character of them all. And like, how do you top that? Like, what my ultimate like advice on this is like, don't try to top that. Just tell the story. Like Luke came in, he was a great way to end season 2. And it was surprising, but it made the most sense for the story. It wasn't about shock value. It was what makes sense for the story right now.
Yeah. My hope for season 3 is that they do exactly that, Ben, is that they focus in on telling the story and go, all right. I mean, think about where we left it in season 2, right? Yes, Luke Skywalker comes in, but there's still incredible drama in that scene that has nothing to do with Luke, with Moff Gideon, with Bo-Katan and Din Djarin both sort of, kind of not knowing if they can be allies anymore because Din wound up with the Darksaber and Bo wants it. And there's no good way for him to give it to her unless she defeats him in combat, which, that in and of itself, that may be the fight. That may be the thing we build up to in the next 8 episodes and see where that takes us. But I think the thing to do now is to just go forward with the Mandalorian story and worry less about, doing a big cameo. I feel like they did enough in season 2 of bringing in familiar faces with Boba and Bo and Ahsoka and Luke, obviously. Even Cobb Vanth, we can throw him in there. I feel like, those characters can continue to appear and should, but we can ease off the throttle a little bit and maybe get back to where we were in season 1, where it wasn't big cameo appearances all the time. Maybe we can have another one. Maybe it can be Han, it can be somebody else, but let's ease off on that and let's get the focus on who is going to be the ruler of Mandalore, who is going to unite the Mandalorian people and then lead them in battle against Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Yeah, maybe the lack of spoilers, the lack of rumor reports about cameos for season 3 so far, maybe that's pointing towards the fact that maybe we won't be getting a lot of cameos next season. Who knows? I don't not hope for cameos. I just hope that it continues what it's been doing, which is like, yeah, there may be a cameo, but it made sense for the story. Yeah. But ultimately, I wanted service, and like, we've talked about it, like Grogu being out of the picture. What does that mean for Din Djarin? What does that mean for his character? I want him to get more development. You can do that with having the baby out of the picture. So like a lot of things. We're not talking about season 3 yet. We got a long time for that.
Yeah, we got to talk about Book of Boba Fett first.
Man,
I can't wait for that. We're starting to get into the space where, this. I mean, think about it, this time last year. We were going like, all right, let's go. Mandalorian trailer. It's about time. It's about time because this is what would have been Celebration Weekend in 2020. So we're getting into that space. So we could have a Book of Boba Fett trailer reasonably soon. It's not unheard of. Well, let's see what else stood out to you guys in the episode, aside from the Plo Koon and the distances that they went to protect this secret. What other moments were there that leapt out?
Jon Favreau and me shockingly being on the same page about how NFTs is going to solve the problem of fake news.
That was such an interesting part of the documentary.
I was gonna say, like, it's so fascinating.
I was like, on the one hand, I'm like, yeah, that's an interesting point. That's a good point, John. But on the other hand, I'm also like, you have a lot of faith in big tech, man. I don't know if I'm quite all the way there.
Well, NFTs are not big tech.
No, but he did talk about how you can look at somebody on Twitter, and if they're verified, they're sharing information. I was like, John, that's not quite how this works.
That's true. Yeah, but, no, I thought that was fascinating because I'm always interested in how like the technology behind Star Wars can kind of change the way that things happen outside of Star Wars. So like how I'm interested how like the technology with the volume is going to change other stories. So it's interesting hearing the people who are technically creative. Like for instance, Photoshop came from Star Wars development, I think.
Yeah.
So and Pixar of course did as well. So yeah, it was really interesting hearing Favreau talk about blockchain and kind of relating how the chain code in the Star Wars universe could potentially be used in our universe. I thought that was very fascinating.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy how like there was like a hidden message that no one caught with like, some social commentary we didn't catch, but that was cool. And that whole conversation was like the ramifications of like, and like, it's interesting, like for us having that conversation, but it's interesting the people that are using this technology in a huge way to talk about like, okay, yeah, this is cool and all, and we're doing some great things, but it can be real scary, real fast if this gets into the wrong hands and the wrong people use it for the wrong things. So that whole conversation was like fascinating.
Yeah, I'm glad they addressed it, although it definitely did feel like Favreau sort of going like, let me explain myself. I promised.
I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking.
We're using it for good, not evil. I swear. Yeah, it was interesting stuff. I loved all the stuff with Mark Hamill. Just to keep moving through this. That stuff was such fun. I loved the footage that they shot like in Mark Hamill's backyard of him in the costume holding Grogu, and like that was the weekend that like Rise of Skywalker was coming out. Like, think about it. Like that's what was going on. That's how far in advance they were planning this. The season 1 was still airing. It's incredible like how far in advance they work. Like they probably have had season 3 plotted out since who knows when, since long before season 2. They probably know where all of this stuff is going, especially since they've got all the spin-offs in the works. But anytime you see Mark Hamill doing anything, and especially anytime you see him doing anything as Luke Skywalker, it was pretty great to see. It was pretty great to see, and I'm glad he got to be involved. I'm glad he got to be a part of it. I was surprised to learn that his voice was an effect. That wasn't him.
That was insane.
Yeah, that wasn't him doing himself as a young man. It was just an effect. It's pretty incredible. I also liked that Filoni kind of acknowledged that, not everybody necessarily loved how the face looked. He's like, people say it's the face, but it might be something else. I'm like, all right, Dave, let's look at the episode again and I'll tell you what it is. But it did, like, I've talked about it before. I don't love how that effect turned out. But in watching that documentary, one, I gained such an appreciation for it. And two, at no point was I thinking, but the effect didn't work in the end. Like they kind of sold me on it in the documentary. they're like, yeah, see, come on over to our side. Believe us, it's a real good thing. It was a lot of fun. It was a good thing. I hope for season 3, because of the pandemic, if it lightens or something, or maybe by the time that they're finished shooting, things will be in a place where they can actually do some more like in-person stuff. I hope that we can get another full season of this instead of 2 specials, because the first season, those discussions are so good, and I want more of that. I want more stuff that feels like DVD extras from the 2000s, as opposed to stuff that's slapped together for YouTube. I want to see more of that in our behind the scenes stuff. And that first season was so good, and these 2 episodes have been really good too. Like I don't mean to be down on them, but I hope for the 3rd season, or for Book of Boba Fett even, that we could get something that's a little bit more in depth and go through all of the stuff the way they did for season 1.
I like the style of the editing for the documentaries for season 2 better, but obviously there's less of them, and so that's the problem. But like, I don't know, like the way that they had kind of just like the roundtable conversation with like footage interspersed in season 1, like I didn't like that as much as kind of more a true documentary type format. So I think you should do this, but it should be more in depth and longer.
Yeah, and in this version, you can't. And the way they did season 2, you couldn't have Jon Favreau talking over everybody at every chance that he got.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, there's definitely reasons to do it this way, but I hope they can cover more content. Is I guess more what I'm getting at. The format is the format to me. I don't necessarily need it to be the way they did it in season 1, but I don't need it to be the way they did it in season 2. I just want there to be stuff that is really in depth and really goes into the stuff, because a lot of my love for the behind the scenes and learning how movies are made and all that stuff came from watching the prequel DVDs and seeing the behind the scenes features that were on those, and watching the original trilogy DVD set that came out in 2004 and all the stuff they had there. Like that's I think that inspires a lot of people, and it gets a lot of people interested in learning how the movies are made. And while I think there's some good stuff out there now, it always felt like towards the end of the DVD era, if we call it that, or the Blu-ray era, it felt like what the studios were adding as bonus features didn't really live up to what they were doing a few years earlier. It felt like they were just sort of slapping stuff together. And then as we've shifted more towards streaming, really until Disney Plus, I'll say it, they're the ones that have kind of tried to regenerate this the behind the scenes stuff a little bit, but you'd get a 3-minute thing on YouTube. You get a 3-minute thing on YouTube that was a behind the scenes reel, and those were interesting. Those were good, but they didn't have the same depth that those prequel documentaries have. And that first season of Disney Gallery, whether you like the format or not, that was so in depth and so incredible that we haven't seen anything quite like that. And the second season, or the Marvel behind the scenes things, they're good. They're a solid step in the right direction. If we can't have the 8-episode deep dive, then I will certainly take those over the 3-minute YouTube things. But I'd love, for WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, Loki, I'd love to, do, even if you don't do as many episodes as there was of the show, do a 3-episode behind the scenes deep dive and go into the effects and the writing and the set design and art departments and all that stuff. Really show us how these things are made.
Yeah, I mean, and if you think about it, we haven't got we got the first series, which was incredibly in depth with Disney Gallery, and then the second series, which was has been great. I've really enjoyed it, but can only do so much because it's only operating with about 2 hours worth of footage. We've the overall behind the scenes information and footage we've gotten about the Mandalorian has been still limited if you think about it, because have there been deleted scenes? Are there scenes that have been cut out of this show? We really don't know that. We don't have bonus features. And maybe if it's ever released on disc, we'll get that. I am genuinely a little disappointed that they haven't used Disney Plus to its full capacity, not, putting stuff on there. They do have deleted scenes, stuff like that. And there's certain documentaries out there. And we recently watched Empire Dreams, which is great. But, I wish they would do more stuff and put more extras on Disney Plus, because, there's just so much you can do. And there's so many things I'm sure we have not seen even in the slightest.
Yeah. There's so much potential. And the streaming format really could provide a great avenue for some of this stuff. But you just need the studios, the people who sign the checks, to want to do it. And
yeah.
I think they want to do everything right now, so we're good.
There we go. Any final thoughts on this before we move on?
The other thing that I thought was interesting is I'd forgotten the whole thing about how Luke's robe was actually brown. I thought that was interesting, because it's the lighting is so important. That's one of the reasons why I feel Empire Strikes Back Yoda is the best Yoda, because of the way that he's lit on Dagobah just works so well with the puppet, and in other spots it doesn't work as well in other environments. So I thought that was really interesting how they went for the accuracy of what it looks like lit the way that it was with the cloak, rather than what the actual prop looked like. I thought that was fascinating. I wonder how many other instances of that exist, because there's so much that has to be kind of recreated from the original trilogy and hopefully from the prequels in these shows.
Yeah, I liked Mark talking about I'm one of the few people that's had experience with his species and all this kind of thing. He was he's so impressed with I'm yeah, you're right, Mark. You're kind of a Yoda expert. You're a really veteran. You've been going all the way back, which was great.
Mark. Hey, Mark, Yoda expert.
We've said it many times. It's Mark is half of Yoda. Him interacting with Yoda is half of the reason why Yoda's great.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. If he didn't believe, Yoda would have been, Kermit the Frog in space, just hanging out, chilling on that.
And they didn't have the incredible, all this technology with the puppetry that they had, back in 1979 that they do today. So it's amazing feat to see what they did with Yoda then. But seeing this new Grogu puppet is just amazing. And I also like the fact that they pointed out that Mark Hamill himself looks so different in so many different circumstances. Throughout the movie, he looks so different. His face looks different, and they're oh yeah, it depends on who you ask, what you think Mark Hamill looks like. And there's all this whole thing about like, oh, he's in a car accident after A New Hope or whatever else. I don't think that changed him that much. I think he's just one of these people that like you just part his hair a certain way, he looks different. Plus, he does go through a pretty rapid transformation. So
I will say that the dude who they had standing in for him when he didn't have Mark's face, CGI'd onto him, he looked a lot like Luke in the holiday special. Like, that's what I thought when I saw
better than Luke in the holiday special. He looked more like Luke than Mark Hamill looked like Luke in that holiday special. All right. Also thought it was weird that they called the guy Max. They wouldn't say his full name. I was like, what?
Yeah, that is weird.
They said, oh, it's Mark Hamill and someone named Max. I'm like, what? Just get the guy's full name. He freaking played Luke Skywalker. Like, let him.
They need to give body doubles and stunt doubles and voice doubles and every type of double more recognition for the roles that they play in filmmaking. Like,
yeah,
come on.
Right. Yeah. There's a whole like that whole like with stunt doubles and whatever else. Like they are playing the character so much, and this thing is like. They admit in this special that really none of it is Mark. Mark just kind of like did the scene, set the tone, and played it as he would have played it, and the other guy copied him. And I think that's a tremendous talent just to do that, just to be in the room with Mark Hamill and copy Mark Hamill's performance, and then do all this physical training with a lightsaber and stuff like that, and make it all seamless. That's thing. So Max, whoever you are, I wish we knew your last name. You're incredible. You were a great Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. It just to repeat myself, it was seeing Mark in that costume in this age, like that was really cool. It was really, really cool. And when he was holding Baby Yoda, like it did feel like a little bit of like an alternate sequel trilogy, like what could have happened, what might have happened. I'm not saying it should have or would have been better or anything like that. I don't know. And I'm not interested in that conversation, but it was really cool to see. And I would love to have them like use the footage they shot of Mark now and cut it into the episode and cut out the effect and cut out all that stuff. And I'm not even just hating on the effect. I'm just saying like just as an interesting experiment, finish the effects in those scenes with Mark and cut them in so that when we cut away from him, there's Pedro and there's the Baby Yoda and all of that stuff. I would love to see a version of the finale, the Mark Hamill edition, the Hamill cut, if you will.
Yeah,
and, I think that'd be really cool to see.
Doc Holocron bringing up Kathleen Kennedy reminded me of how awesome it was that she was name dropped in there, because you have all the dumb people on the internet that's like, there's a war between Kathleen Kennedy and Favreau and Filoni. It's like, no. They're working together. They're both the reasons why the other ones are doing well. It's a team. You can't have directors and executive producers without your producers as well making everything work together. So I love how she was given a shout out and it was talked about, what she was able to do to help make this happen. Like that's super important, because there's really nothing as beloved in Star Wars right now as season 2 of The Mandalorian. It's brought fans together. So, I think that Kathleen Kennedy deserves the credit for helping make that happen. She's a part of it too.
Yeah. Well, ultimately it's like Favreau says in this thing, she's a producer. She hears about a good story and then sets about trying to get it made. And as we talked about when we talked about that episode way back on Radio Razor Crest, like the Luke of The Last Jedi and the Luke of this episode of the finale are not different characters. Those two stories work together very, very nicely, almost seamlessly. The fact that she heard Ryan Johnson's pitch for episode 8 and went, yeah, that's interesting. I want to do that. That's the movie I want to see. And then heard from Favreau and he said, oh, this is how we want to end season 2. We want to do this big moment, and went, that's interesting too. I want to see that. It's not surprising. She hears what she likes as good stories, and she has had a career that shows that generally when she hears a good idea, she goes with it. And that's what happens. And so, again, there's no war. It's not that they're not fighting with each other. They're working together. They all want to make good Star Wars things. That's all they want. It's all we want, quite frankly.
I'm pretty sure, speaking of inappropriate content on YouTube. I'm pretty sure some heads exploded on YouTube when Favreau started talking about that stuff and how much they respect Kathleen Kennedy.
They paid him to say that.
Anything. Oh God.
Yeah. Anything they like was brilliant, genius stuff, and anything you don't like, somebody paid it for it. That's how it is.
Yep.
Never mind the fact that the people that make the stuff you think is brilliant also got paid. I mean, to make a Star Wars thing, you get paid. Like, nobody does it for free. We all say we would, but none of us actually would. Let's be real. All right. Is there anything else we want to talk about with the making of the season 2 finale, Disney Gallery, the musical, the Broadway show, series, the graphic novel adaptation of the 12-part epic poem from that was passed down through the oral tradition in the prehistoric era that was found drawn on some caves somewhere in Central America?
Speaking of people with no hats, it was I almost did not recognize Filoni. He shows up in here like, how dare he just show up unannounced without a hat? It's like, blinding. Like, what is this?
Thankfully, Dave has cut his quarantine flow, because that was bad. There was an episode he was on the Star Wars show. That was bad. It was real bad. And there's some behind the scenes stuff about the volume that's out there on YouTube, on like the ILM YouTube channel, that I swear was shot during Book of Boba Fett, because his hair is so bad. somebody clearly went to him and said, "We're doing the show again. Cut your damn hair. we will find someone to do it for you." Oh man. All right. Let's keep going here. We're gonna do something fun. We're gonna do something different for the next little while. For the next little while on the show. So we did this already a little bit a couple of weeks ago, but if you're keeping an eye on the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and specifically what they're doing on Disney Plus these days, you know that there's a show called What If coming out, and basically the idea is they take different concepts for things that didn't happen but could have happened in the Marvel films, and say, what if that happened? And they do a half-hour-ish animated episode about it. And that got a lot of people thinking, maybe we should do a Star Wars one of those. Wouldn't a Star Wars one of those be cool? And people have been throwing out some ideas for it. And one of the catalysts for those ideas being thrown out there was our own Ben Hart, the Star Wars guy, running.
I like to be the catalyst of things.
Yeah, running the @SWU Twitter account. So Ben, tell us what you tweeted, and then what happened after that.
Yeah. So naturally, as you do when you do social media stuff like me, it's all day, every day spitballing of what can I post to get a reaction, and about 60 to 70% of that time, it's like nothing. Normally I'll have like, I have this brilliant idea for a post, what you do with social media, like you ask a question, like people are going to answer this question. It's be great. And most of the time it does not work out. So I can't remember when I posted this. I'm actually going to look up the tweet right now, because it was posted on Facebook and Twitter, but Twitter got the most feedback, I think, by a long shot. But this was posted August 16th, and I posted, quote, "If Lucasfilm create a Star Wars What If series and asked you to come up with an alternative scenario in the Star Wars universe to base an episode on, what would you choose?" And post that. I'm like, okay, maybe they'll get a few replies. Who knows? Yeah, got a few replies. 2,000 replies later, 3.6 thousand retweets, and 3.2 thousand likes on Twitter, and that's not even counting the Facebook. So yeah, this was popular. It pretty much went viral.
You had to drop we don't have a SoundCloud, so you had to drop our Spotify in response to the tweet. It got to that point.
Yeah. I was like, what do I do in this scenario? I got a viral tweet. Is this what you do? You do the Spotify thing? But yeah, it got a lot of stuff. It went genuinely viral, huge, and generated a lot of great responses. Some that I was like, that's a great idea. Like there's so many that I read that I couldn't possibly hope to find again because our mentions are full of these things. But it was crazy. So yeah, we're gonna go through a few of those now, I think, and see what you guys sent in.
Yeah, it got enough responses that other outlets picked up the tweet and created articles about them, and that includes Den of Geek and the Mary Sue, and we're kind of using what some of the ones that they highlighted as a basis, and then I think Ben, you added some more.
Right, we've got plenty. We've got plenty to go through. We can't possibly get to them all.
Yeah, we got a lot. So let's start with this one. We're going to go through these. We're going to talk about some of them. This one is from @Daniel W. Clark DWC. They say, this one may be too obvious, but ... What if Anakin never turned to the dark side?
And this one was like this. There's like 1,000 of these, same question. And it's fascinating.
So I this one's interesting to me because Anakin doesn't turn to the dark side. Somebody else has to in his place, I would think. Who would be the most interesting one?
Padme.
Padme. That's a good one. I would have said Obi-Wan.
That would also be interesting.
What if we got Darth Vader, but it's Obi-Wan Kenobi? How does that change the original trilogy? Or does it make the original trilogy possible? I don't know. Padme turning to the dark side would be interesting because then Anakin has to try and save his children from their.
Yeah. Oh no, Anakin dies of a broken heart in Revenge of the Sith.
Boy. Then we'll just get the original trilogy again. It's just Padme's evil instead of Anakin.
You gotta wonder like what happens, what transpires, because like if Obi-Wan turns to the dark side and Anakin stays good, like how does that go down in regards to like what is Obi-Wan and Palpatine's relationship? You know, is it like something goes down and what if like in an alternate universe Palpatine kills Satine or something like that, and like Obi-Wan's really attached to her and isn't the stoic like able to control himself and really goes down that dark path and then ends up maybe joining with Palpatine, and then what happens with Anakin? There's so many variables, especially in retrospect, and there's a lot of Clone Wars in here too. Clone Wars questions in regards to like what could have happened, how could like the Clone Wars affect like something different happening in the Clone Wars affecting, or like how would something going different in the movies affect the Clone Wars characters being in the mix?
Yeah, how would Ahsoka factor into it if Anakin didn't turn to the dark side? There's a question for you. There you go. There's one to ponder.
Because Order 66 would have gone down probably. I don't know. I mean, say you put it's just like the scene where he pronounces Anakin Darth Vader. Just swap Anakin for Obi-Wan in that situation. What happens? Anakin's on Utapau. He's fighting Grievous. He destroys Grievous. What happens after that? Where does that go? And then Ahsoka's off on Mandalore. Things happen, but then do Anakin and Ahsoka team up? Like, okay, we're gonna go face and Yoda, and they're gonna go face Anakin. Like, what happens? Like, there's so many possibilities.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. All right, let's do another one. Let's go through another one. This one is from @Tatooine Sons. Hey, heard of those guys? Know who those guys are? May have accidentally inspired their show. This one, they say pretty much each trilogy has a big what if. Prequels could be if Padme joined Anakin. Original trilogy is obviously if Luke strikes down Vader and joins the Emperor. And sequels have to be if Rey accepted Kylo Ren's offer. Wow.
That's
I'm gonna shake up the sequel one just a little bit. I almost think it would be more interesting if Kylo had done what Rey had wanted in Last Jedi. If he had gone good in that scene. Like how do you continue?
Because it works both ways, because the whole thing with that is that they come together and they're like, hey, join me. No, you join me. They don't really change from their positions. There is that meeting of the minds, and they're getting together and they're like, okay, what if Rey went dark? What if Kylo went light? But they don't. They stay in their positions and they're kind of stoic of like we're where we're gonna be. So really, you can change either ones. You could say, hey, what if Rey joined Kylo, but what if Kylo went to the good side? How does that come across? And now you take Snoke out of the picture, Palpatine's still out there, but Kylo goes good. What happens?
Yeah, there's an entire fleet of Star Destroyers hanging out on Exegol. So even if they shut down the entire First Order apparatus, there's still a big question coming up. There's still a big one still left out there that needs to be dealt with. It'll be interesting. Yeah. Padme joining Anakin is also an interesting one because, okay, she goes dark. She's like, all right, yeah, sure, I'll be Empress of the universe with you. Awesome, I'll take it. Like, I almost feel like the story just ends there because then Luke and Leia grow up and they're evil too. Like, there's nobody to come and redeem Anakin. I guess you could maybe say Ahsoka. Maybe
I mean, are they evil though? Just because you have evil parents doesn't make you evil.
I've got it. Ahsoka gets it back into their lives somehow, and she awakens one of them to the realities of who their parents are, and is like, "Come with me, and I will train you to be good and like able to defeat them." There we go.
I just want to see evil Padme because seeing Natalie Portman as the Black Swan and Darren Aronofsky's masterpiece, I want to see that in Star Wars.
Because let's face it, it's a bit weird in Attack of the Clones when Anakin goes to Padme. He's like, I freaking slaughtered a whole bunch Tusken Raiders. I killed everybody. And she's like, oh, poor you. Like she's like feeling sorry for him. Like I think the defining qualities obviously of Padme is she's a good person. She's a good, caring person. She obviously was never going to, but what if like she's like, yeah, that's a bad thing. You killed all the Jedi, but I still love you, Anakin. I'm gonna go with you. Like, what happens? She's not a light side. She's not gonna go to the dark side, but she could buy into what some of what Anakin was putting down with the whole like, yeah, dictatorships aren't so bad.
I truly, deeply love what you did to those Tusken women and children.
Yeah, maybe the real version of this isn't what if Padme joined Anakin. It's really more of what if Padme got really into reading Facebook and suddenly went down the rabbit hole and was like, actually, this Palpatine guy, he may seem crazy, but he knows what he's talking about.
So Anakin, I watched this YouTube video. It was the why the Empire were the heroes of Star Wars, and it's got me totally convinced.
She's like, I've done my research. Have you done your research? I've done my research. Okay, let me send you 12 8-hour videos, and you have to watch them all, and then we can debate.
Well, this guy on YouTube says the Empire, did nothing wrong. They were not so bad. So
the Death Star was an inside job.
But I like what you're setting up there with like say Ahsoka, Yoda, Obi-Wan, they all get together. They're like, okay, we're gonna train one of these twins. We're gonna either take the twin or we're gonna like be on the sidelines working to kind of seduce them to the light side. And you could see something like what we're seeing in Visions, which is like one twin good, one twin bad, and they, that's the culmination. They fight.
Ooh, there we go. That'd be an interesting original trilogy sort of remix. And then what if Luke strikes down Vader and joins the Emperor? Well, I think again that might be our one twin good, one twin evil. Leia's got.
Didn't they do a Old Republic thing like that?
Yeah, one of the later Old Republic trailers was like, there's the Emperor, and then he's got two sons, and then one of them's good, one of them was cyborg, and they fight.
Okay. All right. Next tweet. This is from @Damien Eck Jr. They've got a whole list here. So
this is the shortened version of their list. They sent 3 photos of their notes in their phone of all these different lists. These are just the best ones that I thought of.
All right. What if Qui-Gon killed Maul? What if Ahsoka didn't leave? What if Fives succeeded? What if R2-D2 didn't save Padme? What if Luke was sent to Alderaan and Leia was sent to Tatooine? What if Ezra joined Maul? What if Obi-Wan told? Why did I say? Oh, Uncle Owen's the next one. What if Obi-Wan told Luke that Vader was his father? What if Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru didn't die? What if the Death Star blew up Yavin 4? What if Obi-Wan killed Vader? What if Luke stayed on Dagobah? What if Anakin/Vader didn't turn? What if Vader didn't die? What if Ahsoka agreed to train Grogu? There's an interesting one. What if Luke never showed up on Moff Gideon's light cruiser? What if Luke Skywalker didn't go into exile? What if Poe died on Jakku? Of all of the ones we've read, that one is most likely to have an actual script kicking around somewhere of like what happened if that happened. That was supposed to happen. And then finally, what if Kylo beat Rey on Starkiller Base?
Wow.
Let me tell you my favorite. What if Fives succeeded? I want to see that story.
Yeah.
What if Fives had managed to convince Anakin and Rex? I want to see that. That is an interesting one. Like, you know, obviously if they did this show, I don't know if they would go for something that's as deep a cut as that, but that's an interesting story. What if he could have gotten through? What if Anakin had showed up at Palpatine's office like Mace Windu in Revenge of the Sith and said, "You're under arrest, Chancellor"? Like, how does that play out?
I think that the Death Star blowing up Yavin 4 is a really interesting one, because I mean, you would probably assume, I mean, you know, it's possible Luke wouldn't have died in that because he's in space, so he would have had to do it without Leia. So I don't know how much that would have changed things. I think adding an addendum to that of what if Luke died too? What if everybody died? All the heroes died then. I think that's the most
wins.
Yeah, well, no, they don't, because you still have the Force ghosts of Obi-Wan out there, and he can talk to anybody that he wants. And so he can talk to Yoda and he can talk to Ahsoka. You have Ahsoka out there, you have Yoda out there. So what if then Ahsoka is the one that goes to Dagobah and trains more with Yoda, and then she's the one to confront Vader? You have a very interesting dynamic there with Ahsoka confronting Vader again, in Return of the Jedi instead of Luke. So yeah, I think that could be a very interesting story.
I think the most intriguing one out of this one is pretty simple, and it's the one that says, "What if R2-D2 didn't save Padme?" And I'm assuming they're referring to the scene where she's in the big bucket thing in the droid factory, and R2's like just in the nick of time. But
that's my favorite part of Attack of the Clones. It's just these buckets, and they're just dropping molten lava into it. Like that.
What was that? I discovered what that scene was from, and then I forgot it. But it was lifted off of something from like the 80s or.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Of course, classic Lucas. But like, what I'm thinking is like, if say R2 gets there a few seconds late, Padme dies. She dies in the droid factory. You'd think like, okay, looking ahead in the future, like Palpatine doesn't have that bargaining chip of Padme hanging over Anakin's head that he can like, oh, well, you can save your wife from certain death by joining me. But you have to look in the, you know, kind of the here and now in he just lost his mother. Anakin did. Now he loses the love of his life. Like, what, like, does he go nuts then? Like, does he go to the dark side then? Like, how does that play out? You know, and could we be seeing a different arena battle where Anakin's like full on dark side? Maybe he goes and kills Dooku. I don't know. Like you could have like, and I think a lot of these are like kind of like it would push the events of Revenge of the Sith up to that point. Like it would basically like Anakin would just become Darth Vader just in a different way.
Yeah. Which, when you look at the Clone Wars, like there's a couple of moments in there where it seems like Palpatine is trying to essentially trigger the events of Revenge of the Sith early. I think about, I know it's not everybody's favorite sort of bait and switch arc, but the Crisis on Naboo arc ends with Anakin fighting Dooku at a moment in his life when he feels really betrayed by the Jedi. And had Anakin killed Dooku there, I think then Palpatine would have swooped in and gotten the ball rolling on the next phase of his plan. But I think what Palpatine learns in that arc is that it's not enough just to have Anakin turn against the Jedi. There's another piece of this. There's another secret sauce, and he has to figure out what that is. And of course, realizes that it's Padme, and it has something to do with saving her.
Right. And Doc Holocron makes a great point in the chat that, if you take out Padme, there's no Luke and Leia. So where does that go? What is the new hope of the galaxy if it's not Luke and Leia? Do people like Ezra Bridger have to step up and save the galaxy if there's no new hope?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Let's see. I'm just looking at the list again. If there's any more from this,
there's a lot here. There's a lot.
Yeah, I think we can keep going. I think we can keep going through the list because there's a lot to get to. This one is from @BenSolo8108. What if Maul and Ahsoka teamed up to take on Sidious and Vader?
Ooh.
I thought this is where we were going for a hot minute in the Siege of Mandalore. I thought this was going to happen.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to see it. I think it would be cool. I think it'd be really interesting. The Siege of Mandalore was popular enough that I feel like it could be a what if episode. Like unlike the Fives arc, which feels like you're dipping perhaps a little too deep into the mythology, that's like a big popular thing that happened recently that I think they could say, yeah, we're going to do a Maul Ahsoka episode of Star Wars What If. Again, we're just occupying this world where this show exists for all purposes of this conversation. It doesn't. I wish it did. It might one day, but for the time being, it doesn't.
What if Star Wars What Ifs existed?
What if? Well, it's like going to Marvel's What If, like that's at least the first episode kind of establishes. It's like, I won't give away any spoilers, but like it's like the opening of the episode is like, oh, there's the choice. There's this person made a choice to do something. It wasn't a big choice, but it was a small choice that led to creating this whole new universe, creating this whole different timeline of events. You have a giant choice for Ahsoka and something that she seems to genuinely consider on, like, hey, come join me. I'm Darth Maul. I look like the devil, but, and I lie sometimes, but I seem to be telling the truth now. And hey, I can go, I know everything about Darth Sidious. And if you help me, we can take, and like, we know that like, Ahsoka's like, I'll help you. Like she genuinely like is going down that path until the whole thing about Anakin comes up and she's off the charts. So I love the idea of like, what if, he doesn't, if they don't talk about Anakin, what if she doesn't ask that question? What happens? Where does she go? And like, how do they, like, maybe they go on a ship and they go back to Coruscant. What happens? Like they show up and like Yoda's fighting Sidious. Like they could turn the tables when now you have, a former Sith Lord and a former Jedi show up and completely destroy everything. I just love that idea. I also love the idea, and I think people, maybe I did or something like that, the whole idea of like, what if Maul and a Yoda go to Sidious and they're going to take out Sidious, and then Ahsoka and Anakin go to Mustafar. Or Ahsoka and Obi-Wan go to Mustafar. Like, what happens?
That's an interesting thought one. Yeah. All right, next up we've got from at Joby1 Kenobi. Qui-Gon lives and trains Anakin. Anakin never falls to the dark side, but Obi-Wan does. That's the one I was pitching earlier.
Yeah.
There you go.
I like this one.
So the big question is, why would Obi-Wan fall to the dark side? And maybe if he was pushed a little bit more by Darth Maul killing Satine, that could be a good reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you can look at the Phantom Menace, especially Obi-Wan in that film, and he's, we know him as this straight-laced by the book Jedi, but he's rebelling against his rebellious master. He's kind of like, you're not on the right path or whatever. If Qui-Gon hadn't died, and maybe that relationship wasn't as strong as it could have been, you could see some resentment for him. You could see something along those lines. And if that develops in Obi-Wan and continues on, and he just, both of them stay alive, and Qui-Gon has this new apprentice, and Obi-Wan goes to knighthood, and he, gets his own apprentice later on, and it's not Anakin. Like, what happens? And, what could transpire that could like maybe set, or maybe Obi-Wan becomes, the apprentice number one for Palpatine. Maybe it's not Anakin. Maybe Qui-Gon's like puts Anakin on the right path, and Obi-Wan's not on the right path. I like that.
Yeah, that would be cool. I think what we're realizing and what we're deciding in all of this is that this show needs to be made.
Yes.
There's just no two ways.
We've got like a million ideas like right in our show notes, and we're throwing out here like Disney. Come on.
Yeah. I think that it could be good. This next one comes from @Scales20, Scales spelt with a K. They just say Kanan surviving. This is one I think something is missing from it. Something is missing from it, because if Kanan just survives, then he's just sort of there for the last 3 episodes of Rebels, and I think they still probably play out more or less the way they do. Or maybe Ezra doesn't get the kick in the pants he needs to grow up and become the character who can.
Or maybe he's not taken into the unknown regions by Thrawn.
Yeah, but I feel like if Kanan survives, then Ezra dies, or Kanan survives but Hera dies. Like I feel like there's a piece missing from this one, because I feel like there is something there. If you can keep Kanan around, and we know they'll bring back Freddie Prinze Jr. to play this part at any age, then I think that this could work. But it just I feel like there's a second part that needs to be there, and but I'd be interested in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's really how would that affect all the post Return of the Jedi stuff? Like that's where it would get really interesting, because now it seems like Ezra is going to be the key figure there, and it would be interesting if Kanan was still around too, or if Kanan was there instead of Ezra. What would it change about how things would go down with Ahsoka and Hera and Sabine? Like that could be really interesting.
Exactly. Next up, we've got from @a-guy-who-tweets-5. If the New Republic had listened to Leia, and the sequel trilogy is New Republic versus First/Final Order.
That's what I was expecting. Like I was always I don't like the fact that they made the New Republic order first thingy, whatever that thing is. Hasnian Prime. I don't like the fact that they made that so like inert.
Yeah.
Like, because that's the thing that could have really differentiated the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy, is like the different dynamics of, you get to see the rebellion as an insurgency. You get to see Leia as kind of like a guerrilla leader in the original trilogy. And so I thought it would be really interesting to see how is she as a political leader? How does she deal with all the stuff that Padme had to deal with? We can kind of see, we saw her kind of as more Anakin's child than Padme's child, because there wasn't really that much politics in the original trilogy with Leia, despite the fact that she was ostensibly from a political family and a political leader. So yeah, I wanted to see that. I wanted to see that side of things. I thought it would have been interesting. It would have given a new wrinkle to it. I think that them just having the Resistance be the rebellion reborn was boring. Like it was just retreading the same ground, a lot of the same situations. And that's how you end up with, the end of The Force Awakens, where they're off on a base on some secluded planet somewhere, and Leia is calling the shots from behind the scenes of a trench run like attack on something that a big weapon they need to destroy. Like you just said, you write yourself into the same situations just because that premise is the same, of it's the Resistance versus the First Order instead of the rebellion versus the Empire. So yeah, I think that would have, of all of these, this one I think would have been better than what we got.
Right.
And so I think this is a great suggestion. So I think they got to be careful about making this What If episode, because they might just have made a better sequel trilogy if they do.
Yeah. I remember when we first heard that the good side of the sequel trilogy was going to be called The Resistance. I was sort of like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. I already had one of those. But I completely agree. That's something that's clearly just JJ wanted to make his trip down memory lane movie, and that was how he had to. That was how he felt he had to do it.
The guy got to make A New Hope twice, once in the Star Trek universe and once 30 years later in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, I would be lying if I didn't see a lot of these and go like, that sounds like a better idea than what we actually got. And it wasn't just sequel trilogy stuff. There's some really like interesting ideas with, even the prequels. So
speaking of which, at Dark Saber Light says, what if Satine had asked Obi-Wan to stay with her and he'd left the Jedi Order when he was a Padawan? There's an idea.
Yeah.
Who does Qui-Gon take another apprentice? What relationship does Obi-Wan then have with Qui-Gon post that? Does Qui-Gon go with his new apprentice to find Anakin on Tatooine, and then does Anakin get trained by this new apprentice? Could Obi-Wan be like Anakin's like cool friend off to the side who could actually listen to his problems that he's having with the Jedi, that Obi-Wan couldn't be that friend to him, or Anakin didn't see him that way? And we could see them actually, he would see Obi-Wan as somebody he could trust. When Padme says, do you think Obi-Wan could help us? He'd be like, yeah, probably. That would completely you could completely reimagine the Anakin Obi-Wan relationship if you wanted to that way. And that's exciting. That's interesting to me.
Yeah. Well, like I'm thinking, if Obi-Wan's out of the picture, Phantom Menace goes on, Qui-Gon is stuck with a younger, perhaps less experienced Padawan. You get to that last duel. And you end up with maybe two dead Jedi instead of one. And maybe Anakin falls in, maybe Anakin is taken by Maul or something like that. I don't know. There's so many things, different things. Obviously, there's a lot of, what if Qui-Gon, or what if Maul, what if Ahsoka, not Ahsoka, what if Obi-Wan died?
And there's somehow too,
yeah, she can be in there.
Well, I mean, what if Obi-Wan was Ahsoka's master instead of Anakin?
Ooh.
There you go. Interesting.
There you go.
Like that.
Next one we have here comes from at Jedi Lives Matter. What if Lando had given Han a hello there hug on Bespin while quietly and emphatically whispering, "Vader's here, get out"?
That's interesting.
I don't know if there would have been anywhere to get to.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem. They're there because they're desperate. Yeah. But if he could have left her, if he could have gone somewhere and hid on Cloud City, like not gone fully into the trap or something. I'm always fascinated by what would have happened if Luke could have stayed on Dagobah the entire time he was meant to be there. Like if Leia and Han hadn't fallen into Vader's trap, if they could have continued just cruising around the galaxy, giving Luke all the time he needs to train up, what could have happened? And so, yeah, what if Lando says that to Han? They meet in some secret location. Lando helps them fix the Falcon. They jet off out of there and then reconnect with what's left of the Rebel Alliance after Hoth. And all that while Luke gets to continue training on Dagobah. How do Yoda and Obi-Wan want to tell him about Vader?
I don't think they ever wanted to.
I don't think. Yeah, they just want him to kill him, thinking that he's his father's murderer.
In Return of the Jedi, right? Yoda says to Luke something to the effect of like, "Not ready, were you?" or something, and Luke like, "What?
Not ready for the burden, were you?"
Yeah, not ready for the burden for you, because he says, "Unfortunate that is." And Luke says, "Unfortunate, I know the truth." And Yoda says, "No, not ready for the burden." So that to me suggests that Yoda would have told him at some point. He just wanted to wait until Luke was less of the whiny teenager who just left Tatooine. I think he. And
I can see like the logic, and like we want Luke to be a more well-rounded Jedi in control of his emotions and his thoughts and everything like that before we throw this huge curveball at him that, his dad's one of the most powerful beings, most evil beings in the galaxy. So you don't want to, open with that. But I always read Yoda and Obi-Wan's motivations as a bit more, I would say sinister, but a bit more just weird in that they never planned to tell him. They were just gonna be like, okay, go kill that guy. We're gonna train you, go kill that guy, and then maybe we'll tell you later that you killed your own father. Like that was their thing.
Wow, man, those guys. If that's the case, those guys
maybe
suck.
Not as big of a-holes as I thought they were. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if that's the plan. They're pretty bad. They're pretty awful. All right, next up we've got one from @Dolan_Dark. They just say younglings kill Anakin.
This one just made me laugh when I saw it, because like just imagine like all those younglings are like, oh hell no. They pull out their lightsabers like, you're not killing us. Here we go. They just slice and dice him, and it's over. No more Darth Vader. What's happens?
So if that had happened, because we believe that the Jedi purge, it's mainly Vader and then eventually Inquisitors doing the purging. But if Vader had died at that moment, and then a lot more Jedi had survived, then you still would have had the turnover. The Empire still would have happened, but then Sidious would have had to deal with all those Jedi. So you'd almost end up with a Jedi purge at the hands of Sidious, which could be really interesting. You would have to be a lot more active and killing off the remaining Jedi, because I don't know if he has the Inquisitors ready at that point for that.
I'm not sure. Like I could see, like, depending on like how far into the Operation Nightfall they were, like getting rid of Vader out of that thing could turn the tide of the battle. You could have, if Vader's not there, then maybe the Jedi could get a hold of things. They could rout the clones out of the temple, and then like maybe they're like, okay, let's go kill Palpatine. And like how Palpatine is going to deal with like 100 Jedi or 1,000 Jedi that are left wanting to kill it.
There you go. That would be. I mean, you imagine Mace Windu and Agent Kolar and Kit Fisto and everybody walking into the office, just times that by 400 and see what happens. Right. Let's see. @Clara_ @Claru_MTF. What if Maul killed Obi-Wan in Rebels? Who trains Luke? Does Yoda have to come on down to Tatooine?
I think it's Maul.
Maul would kill Luke.
Maul knows. Like he's like, oh, you're protecting someone. Like, oh, that's interesting. Like, I think if he gets rid of Ben Kenobi, like he's like, okay, I'm gonna go find this kid. What's going on here?
Yeah, I think Maul would. I would say Maul would train Luke. I mean,
you're protecting. Like he figures it out. Like he's like, when he dies, he's like, is it the chosen one? He's the one that's going to kill Sidious. So if Maul gets control of that, he's like, okay, I'll take this kid and we're going to go kill Sidious. That's what I want to do all along anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That would be real interesting. Luke training to be a Darksider, but still being trained to take down the Emperor. I like it.
And again, we get the scenario of Yoda like, well, train Leia, I will. And, you have the twins fight again.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of these could end. You could have an entire season that is just different ways that Luke and Leia wind up having to.
Now what's really interesting thing is one thing we know about Maul is, as evil and misguided as he is, he tells the truth. What he told to Ahsoka was the truth. So you got to think that he's gonna first opportunity to tell Luke, that Darth Vader guy, he's your father, and you want him dead.
Oh
yeah.
Oh man.
You have Vader versus Luke, but it's not good Luke, it's bad Luke.
Yeah.
What if Maul was a better master than Obi-Wan?
Yeah. Maybe in that scenario.
Yeah, interesting. All right, next up we got @Cinder Sir. What if Anakin liked sand?
I like sand.
Okay, so he would have built his castle on Tatooine, first of all. So Vader's castle is on Tatooine. There's probably no Jabba the Hutt. He's probably taken out so that Vader's in complete control. And yeah, Luke needs to be hid somewhere else. On Mustafar. Luke would have been hit on Mustafar.
Well, if he likes sand and like Qui-Gon's like, you're free. You don't have to be a slave anymore. He's like, oh crap. But look at all the sand. Where am I gonna get sand anywhere else? Like, I'm not leaving.
Your thoughts dwell on sand.
Weird. At Jedediah Tate, what if Han Solo didn't give Luke and Obi-Wan a ride off Tatooine?
I'm sure they would have found a way off, but
Yeah.
Han wouldn't have been involved in anything.
Yeah, it would have been Boshek or somebody like that.
Or what if like Greedo or something, I don't know.
Yeah, someone. Greedo gives them a ride. What if they stole the Millennium Falcon and Han like chases them down?
Well, I think it's just like it decreases their chances of being able to escape the Death Star when they inevitably get captured. So like,
yeah,
if they don't have Han Solo, then what happens?
Well, I'm down for the universe where Boba Fett is the one that gives them a ride. And because Mandalorians like giving people rides.
Yeah.
And and then it's just a Slave One coming in there instead of the Millennium Falcon at the end of the movie, and Boba Fett's the hero.
Or maybe Boba Fett has a relationship with the Empire. He tries to talk his way out of it.
There you go. Interesting.
Or maybe he gives Luke and Obi-Wan over to Vader.
Yeah. It's like, oh, they want the droids. They're paying more. Here you go. Good
then
luck.
Ahsoka and Yoda have to go to the Death Star and rescue them.
Oh, wow. So many possibilities.
All right. At Corey1 Kenobi, what if the first astromech that Uncle Owen bought from the Jawas didn't malfunction?
R5D4, hero of the galaxy.
I think R2 would have ended up finding his way to Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then Obi-Wan Kenobi would have just showed up at Luke's house and said, "Hey, want to go on an adventure?" And then the same thing would have happened.
Yeah, I sort of feel
nothing
like
changes.
Yeah, I feel like R2 would have found a way to escape the Jawas. Like that's R2.
That's like
and
the most
R5D4 would have just broken down at some other point. He just would have done nothing.
Yeah, because he does have a bad motivator. Yeah, that is his problem.
Yeah.
There's a lot more, but I think we should call it after this one, and maybe we can come back to these in a future week. This is at Ahsoka's _lost win. Obi-Wan goes to Mandalore. Anakin and Ahsoka go to save the Chancellor.
Oh. That's interesting.
Yeah, because like I think it would be really interesting for Maul's plan to work or to work perhaps better than he intended, and have Obi-Wan show up but without Anakin, and then Maul would have to make that pitch that he makes to Ahsoka to Obi-Wan. Now, I think we know how Obi-Wan would react because we saw in Attack of the Clones how he reacted to Dooku explaining the realities.
Dooku already tried this on me.
Yeah,
not gonna work.
Yeah. But the Ahsoka and Anakin both being on Coruscant as Palpatine tries to put his final plan into motion, it's pretty interesting. Anakin and Ahsoka's relationship, they're close, perhaps even closer than Anakin and Obi-Wan. You could maybe make that case. But I still feel like Anakin wouldn't necessarily tell her everything. I still feel like he would keep secrets. And as a result, I feel like things would ultimately play out the same way.
Yeah.
But it might be interesting it might be a couple of different steps along the way that would be worth exploring. And, since the Marvel What If show has to kind of tie into the larger story in a sense, I don't think they're going to do an episode that kind of ends with the same way as although I guess the first one kind of does. But anyways, I don't think you're just going to end with an episode where it's like, yeah, basically the same thing happened. But with Star Wars, you could. And you could, but as long as you made the journey there different enough, I think it would be worthwhile.
Yeah.
Would have put Ahsoka in Revenge of the Sith, which would be fine with me.
Yeah, that's like that. If you're doing a what if version of any Star Wars movie, Revenge of the Sith has the most options. Like you can take Obi-Wan out of the picture, put Ahsoka in there. What happens? What if Padme goes with Anakin? Like there's so many different things from beginning to end that you can change and fundamentally change everything.
Put Rex on Coruscant.
There you go.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's about where we will.
We could have done like 3 hours of these things and not cover them all.
It's not like there were thousands or anything.
Yeah, no, nothing not like that. Nothing like that. We'll get. I think next week we should definitely do email listener feedback.
Yes.
So if you want to send in an email, if you're listening live, or if you're listening on the podcast feed, or you're watching later and you can't get your comments on the screen or anything like that, and you want to send in some thoughts, or you want to send in something that's a little bit more long form, swunderworld@gmail.com. That's the place to send it. That's what we will do next week. We've already got a couple in the bag ready to go. But we'll do some more next week if you guys send them in, and we'll talk about it, because even though we're doing the live thing, and even though we're trying to put some comments on the screen, we still know that not everybody can listen live, and you guys deserve your chance to be heard too. So swunderworld@gmail.com. If you're watching live or you're watching after the fact, there's the graphic. It's at the bottom of the screen. You can see it. So send them in. And I think with that, we'll wrap things up for this week.
All right. So that will conclude this episode of the Star Wars Underworld podcast. We want to thank everybody for listening and watching to the show. Wait, watching to the show.
Watching to the show, yeah.
Listening to and watching the
You're
show.
listening show and watching too. Yeah.
That's right. But we want to remind everybody that we are on YouTube now. Search for the Star Wars Underworld. You can watch the show on YouTube. Lots of interactive elements are going on that you don't get in the audio version of the show. And if you are watching on YouTube, please subscribe, please like the video, and leave some comments, because those live chat comments, they disappear in the normal comments. So if you had some great comments, definitely leave them after the show goes live. And who knows, we might even be able to feature some of those in the future show if some of them are great as well. And at the SWU is where you can follow us on social media. So make sure you do that. We'll be back with another show, same time, same place next week. That's 6:30 p.m. Pacific, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, each and every week on the Star Wars Underworld YouTube channel. Dominic, thank you so much for hosting the show.
Oh, it was my pleasure to be back and once again be the voice of the people, and remind these two to wear their top hats and their purple shirts, and remind you all that when I say I'm going to do something, I do it. I've got my Grogu pencil case set here. I bought it. You can see I paid $7.99. So there you go.
$3 American.
There you go. Voice of the people right here. Spending money on stupid ass things. That's what I do. So yeah, and make sure these guys will do it. I will make sure that they do it eventually. Even if it takes us to Celebration, we will find shirts and hats and make all of this go. Oh, yeah. But this has been a lot of fun. I don't even know what else to say. It was a great show. We can't wait to do it all again in 7 days' time. I used to have things to promote. I don't have things to promote anymore. Just listen to this. This is the only thing I got going on.
Well, you can promote your social media at DominicJ25. That's where people can do Dominic Jones what ifs.
Yeah. And you can vote in my polls that I put on my Instagram account once in a blue moon.
That's right. Make sure you check that out.
What Star Wars thing I should buy next?
Yes.
And honestly, I'll probably do it.
Heck yeah. I buy what my audience wants me to buy for a day. Sounds like a popular YouTube video.
So you can tell me to buy the life-size Han Solo and Carbonite, and maybe in 3 years we'll have it on the show.
Yeah, we didn't say when. Well, see, that's where we're at with the top hat and the shirts. We didn't say when.
Yeah,
it's going to happen.
Hold on. No, we did say when. You said what you said next week. I will wear a purple shirt, and you said, well, actually, to be fair to Ben, I think we kind of forced this one on Ben. For
the record, I had no choice in the matter. There was no free will involved in mine.
Yeah, you have no choice. Next week, I want to see a purple hat and I want to say a purple hat. Blue shirt.
Purple hat. There you go. Purple hop hat. There
Blue shirt. That's easy. Let me just take the one Ben's wearing now.
Yeah, there we go.
All right.
Still, won't be better than my shirt. Won't be better than
No. I've got the this is the way.
That's a good one. That is a good one.
Oh, there you go.
Yes. And Ben, thank you for hosting as well.
Oh, it's a pleasure as always. Tune in next week as I either am wearing a top hat or I just see how many Funko Pops I can stack on my head.
There we go.
And just how long they'll stay there through the entire episode. We never know. But other than that, yeah, you really have to watch the show. I feel bad for all people that are listening on. You're like, what the hell is going on? I hear stuff. And they're laughing at stuff. But that's an accent.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what accent was that?
I don't know. I just say stuff and it turns country really quick.
Is this adult?
I can access that because I have, I'm born in the South. I can access my redneck really easily. It's just in there. I just have to. It's suppressed. But I can bring it up really easy.
Oh, hey, I have no idea what you're doing there. Eh? I have no idea what you're talking about. It's not a boat. Sorry.
So you get your water, so you're hydrated, and PocketCon have a yard and listen to the podcast.
I don't know what the hell y'all talking about.
We've become parodies of ourselves.
Yeah, we have. We really have. We don't need. You remember the time Din did the intro live and he did impressions of all of us? We don't need that anymore. We're doing it to ourselves.
Now this is for you audio audience people.
Yeah, there's no bonus to watching this part. It is purely ridiculous audio.
It is. We're gonna have to loop this outro, so I hope you enjoy another 6 minutes of the outro on the audio.
Oopsie.
You can follow Ben on social media at Ben Hart with no E, and you can follow me at Seek3PO. We also want to give a shout out to our fantastic engineer Chad. You can find him on social media at ChadBTI. He helps make the show run. Super grateful for him. So make sure you follow him on social media. Give him some love. Tell him how awesome the show looks visually at ChadBTI on social media. Patreon.com/the SWU is where you can support us financially. We once again want to thank everybody who's recently signed up over there. We're going to buy so many top hats and so many purple shirts with your money and more pencil cases. That's all we're going to buy. Just those 3 things. That's all we're allowed to.
That's what we're giving away at the next celebration. Surprise.
Yep. That's right. All of our listeners will be wearing a top hat. It's going to be, we'll be able to tell, oh, you're a Star Wars Underworld listener. You're wearing a top hat in the year 2022.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
only 100 years since they went out of style.
Let's bring the roaring 20s back. I cannot wait.
I mean,
this is delayed by a bit.
Yeah, we're already kind of there. I think.
As far as I'm concerned, the 20s have been a bit too roaring for my taste. All right. So let's just tone it down a bit. I think some chill 20s would be great.
Yeah, that's some chill. Patreon.com/the SWU is where you can support us financially. Once again, merch store, tpublic.com/user/the Star Wars Underworld. That's where you can get Star Wars Underworld logo shirts, Raider Razor Crest stuff. We are so excited for the next generation of our merch, which will be coming out very soon. So make sure that you get what you can over at TeePublic before we switch over to what we're going to be doing next. And then that feedback line, if you didn't catch Dominic saying it a bunch of times, swunderworld@gmail.com. If you're writing things down, that's where you can send us some emails. And we look forward to getting to some of those next week. And then finally, we just want to shout out once again all the other shows on the Culture Slate Network. Star Wars Culture, which streams on Wednesdays, the Rollout that streams on Fridays, and Chatter Squadron that streams on Saturdays. Make sure you check out their channels at those respective names, or just go over to the Culture Slate channel and then go to the suggested channels over there, and you can see our channel and all of their channels, so you can subscribe to everybody's content. And make sure you subscribe to Culture Slate as well. We're posting highlights of all of the shows, so if you don't have time to watch all of them, you can see the best parts of the shows over on the Culture Slate YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe over there, and please leave a review if you are listening on an audio podcast. So that is it. That does it. We'll be back again next week. For Dominic and Ben and Chad and all the other fantastic people we have at Star Wars Underworld, my name is Chris, and may the Force be with you.
It's a wrap. Also, happy birthday, Chris. Early.